Do the more.
What, bitch?
Do the more.
Yeah, whoa.
Do the more.
Yeah, woo.
Do the more.
Yeah, whoa. Damn.
Niggas tryna flex like Mar.
Like Mar.
Fuck bitches, no ex like Mar.
Yeah.
Pull up and
Yeah, Lilmar, no, for real, dead way. Yeah, welcome back to the YouTube video, guys. And today, I'm gonna be talking about the first time I got high in prison. Now, if y'all don't remember my one of my old prison story time videos, I was telling y'all about what we used to smoke in prison. Now, there was no weed in SCDC, or at least at Kirkland, where I was at. The only thing we smoked was K2, which is actually much worse than weed. It doesn't show up in your system or anything. That's how I was able to pass my drug test. But I mean, it's much worse than weed. It's like it's still a cannabis, but it's like the reason why they had that in prison, not weed, is because it's easier to sneak in, because it's basically like some type of spray that you spray on paper. You guys can look it up if you want to. It's called K2, also known as Spice. But yeah, so let's get started. When I first, like, me and Nick, the white boy, we didn't really like, because at first, for the first 2 weeks, we were the only one in our cell, and we didn't really, I mean, neither of us smoked. The only time we started getting smoke in our cell was when Reek came after the 2 weeks we were there. And Reek did smoke weed on the street, so, you know, once he got into, like, or learned about K2, he started buying it, you know? And basically in prison, like, well, you know, most people, they're gonna smoke with their roommates, regardless of whether they chip in to buy it or not. Most people don't like smoking alone in the first place, so, you know, he would always pass the blunt to us. Now, personally, I never, like, well, even you guys know, I never really knew how to inhale, like, even when I smoke weed and like post on Snapchat, you guys always be like, you're not even inhaling it. So I kind of did the same thing in there. I never really knew how to inhale it, so I never really got high like with him. Like the other dude, Nick, like he would smoke that shit, like he would be facing that shit, and he would be getting high as hell, going to the bar, or like the wall, and he would start rapping to the guys in the cell next to us. Like he used to be high as a bitch in that place, and that's why, like, that one night I did that one story time I was telling you, when he got kicked out, when he got beat up, and when he got kicked out because he had got so high one night, he had actually slapped me in the face. Remember I told you guys that story? So yeah, he was always getting high. And fortunately, okay, now let's fast forward and then we'll go back. Now about 2 months or like a month after he had left the cell, they started getting some tobacco in there. Now tobacco is also harder to sneak in. They mostly just had a K2. Now there's something called a dirty bird. I rapped about it in my first day out song. That's where you mix the K2 with tobacco, like you roll them up together, and that shit makes you just high as fuck. Now once I finally started actually inhaling the K2, I kind of felt like a little buzz off of it, but not that much. Now luckily when we had the dirty birds, Nick was already at our cell. Otherwise he would have been so fucked up. I just know he would have done some crazy shit, because okay, now let's fast forward again. So me and Rick, now this was actually both of our first time smoking a dirty bird, bro. I'm telling you, bro, I hit that dirty bird about 3-4 times. I think I hit it like, because I just wasn't like, I didn't know the effect that it would have on me. I was used to that regular K2 that never really had any effect on me. But I'm telling you, bro, I hit that blunt 4 times. I went into a whole nother world that night. Like, just right away, I was so paranoid. Like, listen up, I would already be paranoid when I smoked, because I just felt like I was gonna go crazy, and then like, I just always felt like me and my roommate were gonna end up getting into some kind of fight or something over something stupid. I thought I was just gonna end up dead, or end up in the hospital, or maybe like I might do something crazy. I might grab a knife and try to shank him, or, you know, I just never really, I was just always paranoid every time I smoked. But when I was off this dirty bird, I already, that's when I went real paranoid, because I was just so scared, because I did, like, it felt like I never felt anything like that before. Like even when I got high off of weed before, I've never felt like that. Never. That was insane. And me and him both. So basically, like, I was like laying down, and I was just like chilling in bed, and I just like, I can't, it's so hard to even describe the feelings that I went through, the emotions, because I was paranoid, I was having hallucinations, I I was just in a whole nother world. And like even my roommate, he was feeling the same effect, because he kept looking up at the top bunk and he would be like, "Maury, you alright? You okay? You okay?" Like he was paranoid too, and he was going through the same effects. But like I said, each person, it affects him differently, because like my paranoia is different than his paranoia. I was paranoid that I was gonna do something stupid and we were gonna end up fighting, I was gonna end up dead, you know. And not to mention, like it's basically like it fries your brain cell, and everything you process is just slow. And the worst part was, like my first time, it felt like it was never gonna end. Like I was just waiting for hours for it to go away. Like I was trying to go to sleep and hope up and wake up it would be gone. And when I woke up, I was still high. So that I couldn't tell what time it is. I was just out of this world. It's so hard to explain. But at one point, me and him had both got up out of bed, right? And like I said, we were both all fucked up. We started like, all I remember was like walking around in circles, and it just felt like the whole world was just moving at like 2 frames per second. Like I was skipping through moments. And I remember that time, the first time I actually smoked, like got real high, like when I smoked at that park with that guy about a year or two ago. I don't know if you guys remember that. I posted on my story. And I felt like that same effect where I was like, I would walk 10 steps, but I didn't remember, I had no memory of walking any of those steps. I felt that same feeling, like I was walking in circles, and it wasn't me moving myself. Like I just felt so slow. And at one point I had got some water, I tried to splash my face and like snap out. Well, that's actually what he told me to do, because he was fucked up too. But like, even when you're high, you still like have your mind in a way. Like it's just so hard to describe, but that was like the worst experience ever, because it just gave me a headache, and I just wanted it to end. I was so paranoid. I kept thinking I was gonna wake up in a mental hospital or dead or in a hospital, or I didn't know what. I didn't know what was gonna happen, and I just wanted it to end. And after that, I swear to God, I did not want to smoke anymore. I did not want to smoke anymore. I actually did it for like a couple, or like a week or so, but like even him, he said he was not gonna smoke that shit no more, but he was lying. He ended up still buying that shit and smoking it, and at first I didn't smoke, but eventually he got me into it again. And I had a similar, like, the more you smoke that stuff, the less the effect has, because you're not as paranoid anymore. The main problem with me is I was so paranoid. Like other times when I was smoking, even when I would get slow, we would just actually end up laughing. Like, so the other experiences I had were not as bad as that one, because after that I wasn't paranoid anymore. And when we would get high, we would just start talking about something stupid, and we would just start laughing, or like, and there would be a lot of entertaining stuff going on around us. But when you're high, it's even fun. Oh yeah, another effect that it has is it messes with your ears. Like you hear things so loudly, like it feels like it could be someone all the way across the cell, and they're just talking. They might be yelling, but you're gonna hear like a huge echo. Like you're gonna hear them more clearly than you'll hear someone right next to you. It's hard to explain, but it just feels like everybody around you is just yelling. So like every time we would hear an argument going on in another cell or anywhere in the dorm, we would just start laughing. Like especially I would just be laughing about the whole thing, because it just sounded so funny. Like one time, we was all like, I think everybody was high at that time, because it actually became something everybody was kept laughing about and stuff. But there was one time they started saying, "Shut the fuck up!" Like, shut the fuck up. But the way they were saying it was so funny, and the two guys were just saying it back and forth to each other. They would just be like, "Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up!" So when everybody was high, it was just so funny to everybody. So that was actually something like nobody ever forgot about. And they kept for months they kept saying that same phrase, like, "Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up!" It would just be so funny. Like that's why I said, like, it was just so childish being in there. Like, but and then there was another night. Well, this was actually the night. I think it was like a couple days before the stabbing, when the guy was beefing with the other guy. Oh yeah, I'm gonna do a story time about that stabbing too. I just I gotta change everybody's name and stuff, because I don't want to be snitching. But because some investigators did get involved in that shit, but I don't think it's no big deal now. But the one guy, he had like this big ass sword, he was out the dorm because they were out for showers. I was inside the cell, but the other guy that he was beefing with was like in the cell right directly in front of him, and he was also high too. So he was just going crazy. And he was like, he kept going up to the guy's cell, just laughing in his face, like playing with him with the sword. And I was just staring outside out of our cell, just laughing at the whole shit. But then, like at one point, he started running up to our cell because he was trying to tell my roommate something because they was cool. But I got all, even though I'm behind the cell, you know, I'm safe because he can't like reach into our cell. And then I got all paranoid. I started yelling. I was like, ah! And I backed up. And that shit was so funny. And then the funniest part though was when he actually ended up throwing piss in the guy's face. That shit was insane. Yeah, he did all that shit while he was high off that K2. He was off a Dirty Bird. So most people were high at that time. And I think that actually was a night where they fought and he got stabbed. That actually was that same night. But like I said, that shit just, so I mean, I would never smoke that shit on the street though. Like I said, I had a bad experience at first, but eventually I started like, I actually did get hooked on that shit. I didn't like how it gave like the after effect, like the headache and stuff. But I just like smoking it and just like laughing because it just makes everything so funny. And then it actually does help you sleep, so it will help you sleep the time away, which is something everybody wants to do while they're in prison. So, I mean, I can't say I didn't like smoking that shit. I really can't. You know what I'm saying? We had a blast getting high, laughing about shit, and it made everybody more. For one, it made the dorm quieter because, like I said, it helps you sleep. So after everybody would get high, it would be so quiet in there. Otherwise, it would just be loud all day, all night, because people would be up arguing or just having conversations. And it's just annoying because it's more peaceful when it's quiet, you know? You can't even use the phone. Like, we had tablets, but nobody could even get on the phone unless everybody was high and asleep. So, so yeah, like I said, but that's definitely not something I would ever smoke on the streets because I would probably end up in jail. Like, when you're in prison, it's okay to, you know, get high and you know, because you're just locked in a cell. But if someone smokes that shit on the street, bro, I swear to God, that stuff was like crack. It's just as bad as crack. If you look up K2 or Spice, you can see some crazy stories online of inmates smoking crack or K2 or Spice. And there's a lot of stories online of people even dying. Like, and we knew about the risk. Like, my roommate has people look up the effects, and like even when he had a brother that was in prison, and the brother was telling him stop smoking that shit because it literally fries your brain cells. That's what it does to you. So I really hope it didn't have no effect on me, but I know some people be in there smoking that shit their whole bid for years, and they turn out fine. So I mean, I barely smoked it like for a couple months, so I mean, it shouldn't have had no long-term effect on me. But man, that shit was crazy. That was quite an experience. But I think that's about it for all the stories. Well, not for all the stories, but for all the stories about us getting high. Like I said, I got some crazy, like I said, I don't regret it because that shit it had us laughing. Like the first couple times, I was just so paranoid. I was like, man, I can't believe I smoked. What did I just smoke? I always thought my shit was laced. I thought they had laced the blunt or something, because I didn't know that experience. That K2 and that tobacco, that is called a Dirty Bird. I do not recommend that to anybody. But man, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to click the subscribe button down below. Also, make sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at The Real Lilmar. Follow me on Snapchat, Lilmar. And I got plenty of, I got some more story time videos from prison coming real soon. So make sure you guys stay tuned. And I'll see y'all next time. No, for real. That way, yeah.